Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the NXT review for the 13th of April 2021. Better show than normal. Of course, they switched to Tuesday nights now, running away from the AEW competition. And I'm sorry, I do see it as running away because if they were a superior brand, they would have stayed and fought for their brand. They didn't do it. I understand that many apologists will say the network forced them out, but if they had a compelling product to the level they should have, then they would have stayed and been able to fight. Anyway, we open with the new NXT champion Karrion Kross opening the show. Alongside Scarlett, Kross addresses the fact that he is, in fact, now a two-time NXT champion since TakeOver. He said things have come full circle, and it's only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time before he was champion again. Kross put over Balor as one of the greatest of all time. Kross basically says his weakness was emotion. Kross used his emotion to his advantage. Kross added that he is in command of the NXT until he says otherwise. Put the challenge out to anyone who's interested. Vic Joseph was on commentary. I think he was with Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore for a while. He's not bad. He's better than most of the commentators in WWE. Still completely overproduced, but better than most. He's alongside Beth Phoenix and Wade Barrett. I'm actually much more a fan of having former talents as commentators, even though I was never a talent. I went to training school enough to know what it was like to be a talent, and that makes a major difference. So Joseph calls the recent takeover the most watched NXT takeover ever. Who knows? But with it being two nights, that might actually be. And then we go to commercial, and there's an ad for Car Shield featuring Ric Flair. And I guess, I don't know. Anyway, Ric Flair being in a commercial on this show is probably one of the better parts of the show. Okay, that's probably an overstatement, but not really. Flair has more star power than most of the NXT talent at this point. Anyway, NXT Tag Team Champions MSK, Wes Lee, and Nash Carter defeating Drake Maverick and Killian Dane to retain the championships. Lee pins Maverick to retain the title. Lots of actions. Poor psychology in the match. Match is between two babyface teams, so there's no real forethought to it. Ultimately, this is probably not the best way to get your new babyface, supposedly team that's supposed to be something over. They just win the titles, and you don't really have a major deal for them. So then we go. Maverick gets beat up for the early part of the match. That seems to be all he does in WWE is sell. Dane comes in with a tag move and runs over Lee, hits him with a crossbody on the floor. This goes to a commercial break because, again, we go in the middle of matches. And every brand is guilty of this. I'm sorry. If you can't time a match out to the point where you get it in between, I'd rather see them go to commercials during promos. Nothing you say during 2 minutes of a promo has to be so impactful that, you can't cut it off. But matches where guys and ladies are putting their body on the line, I'm sorry, much more impact. So MSK double teams, takes down Dane. Lee comes back with a corkscrew senton for a near fall, and then Dane fights back. He pancakes Lee for near fall. Maverick jumps up, hits Total Whirl into a DDT. Maverick and Dane with a double team. Dane powerbombs Carter. Dane goes to tag team, powerbomb his tag partner, and goes with Maverick on top of Carter. Lee rushes in and pulls Carter onto him and out of harm's way. Maverick takes powerbomb and Dane is dropped with a cutter. Dane's knocked off the ring apron. Maverick manages to come back with a small package, but doesn't really do so to any avail. MSK hits their heart attack blockbuster combo on Maverick. Maverick takes way too much punishment and should have been pinned minutes ago. Alexander Wolf confronts Dane in the ring post-match. Wolf has recently tried recruiting Dane to join Imperium, and that isn't going very well. Robert Stone is backstage after Dane gets beat up by Imperium, and they stand over him. Robert Stone is backstage with Aaliyah. Mercedes Martinez confronts them. She wants to know where her money was, and Martinez grabbed Aaliyah by the throat and started choking her out. Stone tried to explain himself. Stone basically yammers on with very little impact. Martinez. Jessie Kamea steps in to get in her face, and this sets up a match for later between the two. Why we don't just have, I don't know, a championship committee or an actual matchmaker or a booker instead of these convoluted segments, I will never know. Roderick Strong shown arriving at the building with his wife. Takeover exclusive footage, unsanctioned match. Highlights here, they chronicle it. Cole is stretchered out of the ring and into a waiting ambulance. O'Reilly makes fun of this and collapses backstage after the match. He's rushed to the hospital alongside Cole. If they're both rushed to the hospital, why are they anywhere near being around wrestling 7 days later? Ambulance arrives at the ER same time, and they're wheeled in side by side. Cole cuts promo on O'Reilly saying he's going to kill him while they're both in the stretcher and strapped in. This is just goofy and it's over the top. Mercedes Martinez defeats Jessie Kamea with Robert Stone and Aaliyah. Martinez pins Kamea and then gets her money. Kamea is getting the better of Martinez during the early stages, cut off by Martinez with a running knee strike. Martinez executes an air raid crash, and she covers for the win. Basically, simple squash. Martinez post-match assaults Stone, takes the money that she's owed. Martinez issues a warning to Raquel Gonzalez. I actually would love to see that, not only because Mercedes is a friend of mine, but I actually think Mercedes could get something out of Gonzalez that wasn't there before. So then the way puts itself over in a 8-person intergender match later in the show. These multi-person matches are a waste of time. I make that clear every show, but people do them anyway. Isaiah Swerve Scott in a pre-date vignette has a promo on Ruff about their match later tonight. Haven't we seen this before? Anyway, Legado de Fantasma is cut off from the ring promo by their leader, Escobar. He brags about winning the Cruiserweight Championship relevant, talks about being a champion that like his father, and he said his son would also be champion. Escobar issues an open challenge, and out comes Kushida. Kushida comes out and defeats Santos Escobar. Why have Santos Escobar have such a match at the TakeOver if you're not going to build it into something? If you're not going to make him at least champion for a month or two, and then have someone like Kushida, if that's where you're going, win it. Instead, you just hot shot right after a major show, and it's goofy. Match starts, they grapple at a quick pace. Kushida begins to target the shoulder, picture in picture, because we don't know how to book, and then they hype that they have in fact moved to Tuesday. Escobar is working over Kushida when the show returns and smashes Kushida into the ring steps. Escobar applies a lion tamer on top of the steps and then continues to work over Kushida, including a Super Frankensteiner. Kushida cuts off Escobar with a reverse atomic drop, and it's been a while since we've seen those on a regular basis. Kushida starts a comeback, fires up on Escobar. Kushida goes for the arm bar. Escobar escapes. Escobar is trapped in the buckles. Hammerlock suplex by Kushida, and a second one with a bridge this time for added effect. Escobar gets his foot on the ropes to break up the pin. And then Escobar fights back, drops Kushida. Double down leads to a brawl. Mini trades of strikes for a while, and then Escobar hits a backstabber instead. They do a bunch of pinfalls, roll-ups, and 2 counts. Kushida cradles Excalibur for a 3 and wins the championship. Match was fine. Would have liked to have seen them build to this for, 4 to 6 weeks with a couple of matches traded, and then have it be a blow-off at, I don't know, the biggest show of the year, but we don't plan that far ahead. Anyway, Kushida's in the trainer's room with the championship. Jordan Devlin is there and confronts him. Apparently they will fight soon. Ciampa is back teaming with Timothy Thatcher. They cut a promo saying they want the tag team championships. But didn't we already break them up already and have them fight, and now they're friends again? Wow. The WWE scriptwriters must all have unhealthy, toxic relationships, and that's where they get their story ideas. Anyway, Frankie Monet debuts and confronts Raquel Gonzalez. First of all, I hate the name. Second of all, she's not that talented, so putting her in there with Gonzalez right from the get-go, A, that she doesn't have a name value, and I'm sorry, Impact is not name value, and B, no one really is going to respond to a brand new character debuting in that way that well. Dakota Kai is doing re-announcing for Raquel Gonzalez. Kai's gone down, and that's quite sad. She introduces her friend Gonzalez. Gonzalez says she's supposed to debut when NXT debuted on USA Network, but she wasn't ready. A year and a half later, Gonzalez is champ, and she thanks Kai for the help along the way. Gonzalez puts over Io Shirai as a great champion. Why is a heel doing that? And her era has officially begun. Why is everybody winning a title in era these days? And lights go dark, lights come back on with the debut of Frankie Monet. Monet carries Prince Presley, the Pomeranian, with her, gets in the ring. Why wouldn't someone try to go after the dog? Wouldn't that be what a heel would do? I mean, I realize you can get in trouble with the ASPCA, and no, I'm not advocating animal abuse, but a heel wouldn't care, would they? Anyway, Monet confronts Gonzalez. Monet is here to introduce herself, puts herself over, and she tells Gonzalez that they'd be seeing a whole lot of each other on a continual basis. Gonzalez responds by basically saying that she'd do unfriendly things with the dog. Anyway, Ripley and Bianca Belair return to NXT as champions. I guess this is cool, but it's also shrieks of desperation moving to a new night because, I mean, if they're on main roster, shouldn't they stay there? Gonzalez is still in the ring. Monet leaves. Suddenly Rhea Ripley's music hits, and the Raw Women's Champion's back on NXT to confront Gonzalez. Ripley gets face-to-face with Gonzalez, but they toast each other, which is goofy because they were fighting for so long. Then they clink their belts together and hugged, and it kills any sense that people might actually not like each other. Anyway, Bianca Belair joins the party and she comes down to the ring with the title belt. Belair stands alongside Ripley and Gonzalez, and all three held up the respective championship belts. Crowd chants for NXT, so I guess there is an audience for this. I don't know who they are, but they exist. Pete Dunne cuts a promo, said he's looking to win a championship. William Regal is hyping up Savoy signing with NXT, and she is being billed as the Warrior of the Sun, debuting next week. Roderick Strong gives his notice in a promo. Lots of promos this week, so we must be hitting the reset button on all the stories, which makes sense right after Mania, but still. Regal's in his office, meets with Storm and his wife. Strong hands Regal his resignation, and he says he's done with NXT. Regal says he's welcome back anytime. Story is that Strong is leaving the area. He gives his notice. Strong looks like an actual independent contractor. I assume that isn't where this is going, and he'll show up on a major brand. Maybe SmackDown, they could use some new talent. Anyway, Isaiah Swerve Scott defeats Leon Ruff. We've seen this match before. I wasn't impressed the first time, not impressed this time either. Scott pins Ruff clean in a fine match. Scott's very talented, as is Ruff, but they just have wrestled too many times. It seems basically like a throwout. Match goes through a commercial break because, again, we don't know how to do timing. No picture in a picture, so I guess they're not really worth it in WWE's eyes. Ruff is a babyface in peril when the show returns. He fires up on Scott and basically makes a comeback at the return of the program. Ruff then hits a springboard cutter and flies outside with a flip dive to the floor. Ruff then follows with a missile dropkick for near fall and Super Frankensteiner for another near fall. Victory roll by Ruff for what amounts to a third near fall. Scott blocks a second Super Frankensteiner and gives Ruff snake eyes. Scott hits the package driver and covers for the win. Ruff attacks Scott in the locker room, so selling is a lost art here in 2021. Then we go to Zoe Stark being interviewed backstage, where she's confronted by Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes is all over this show, apparently. Ember Moon, Shotzi Blackheart, Dexter Lumis, and Bronson Reed defeat the Way of Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Austin Theory, and Indy Hartwell in an 8-person intergender tag team match, which I guess is how we want to close the program. So we can just throw away main events now. Reed pins Theory, which is sad, because Theory's the most talented of the bunch at this point. Main story is that Indy Hartwell leaves with Dexter Lumis, so apparently Lumis has a girlfriend now. Heat on Lumis throughout the show goes through picture-in-a-picture. Hot tag to Reed upon return. He cleans house. LeRae tries to stop him with a crossbody, but she bounces off of him like nothing. Theory drops Reed. Theory gets dropped by Lumis, and everybody does the spot, because we don't want anyone's feelings to get hurt if they don't get to shine. Women attack the men. Moon hits Gargano with a tope. LeRae delivers a DDT to Lumis on the floor, which is just goofy. Why are these women able to fight men that are double, sometimes triple their size? Reed hits a military press on Blackheart and then throws her into a crossbody into a pile of bodies outside the ring. Again, goofiness. Lumis is trying to submit Gargano. Hartwell jumps in, makes the save. Hartwell has obviously been doing the crush on Lumis thing for a week. Lumis lets go of Gargano and lifts Hartwell up off the mat to check on her after she gets struck. Theory attacks Lumis. Hartwell is upset with this. She tosses Theory over the top rope, so way to kill off Theory, even worse. Hartwell takes a plancha bump, again acting as if she's knocked out. Lumis sees her lying on the apron and carries her backstage. This is not Randy Savage and Elizabeth by far. Anyway, Loomis is carrying Hartwell to the back, and she perks up briefly, winks at the camera, and in the ring, Reed mows down Theory. Moon keeps on Reed's shoulders, delivers the ellipse to Theory. Reed goes for the splash, but Gargano trips him. Reed counters an attempt at a suplex by Gargano, and Reed eventually is able to deliver his Tsunami Splash and covers Theory for the win. This stuff is just abysmally bad, but what do you want? It's WWE, and they don't care. They don't really, I mean, with the Peacock deal and the TV deals they don't have to care either. That's the other side of it. Like, at some level, I don't think wrestling companies have to care about booking anymore. Anyway, we'll be back with the AEW Dark review and the NWA review and AEW Dynamite later tonight as well.